Hello, Varlets. Today we just got a dev blog released by Fatshark that covers the Skitarii character customization. Now I know they talked about the visual design and the vision of what it would look like in the last dev blog, but this time we're actually getting some details about what we can tweak and adjust when it comes to creating our very own Skitarii. So let's read through the blog and I will share some thoughts. Rising above the shackles of the flesh, the Skitarii have been rebuilt with the divine augments of the Adeptus Mechanicus to best serve the Omnissiah as an impossibly efficient tool of war. This is part of an ongoing series of feature highlights focused on the upcoming DLC class, the Skitarii. And in the previous highlights, they went over the overall vision for the Skitarii's visual design. This time, this feature highlight focuses on the unique options available to the class as far as character creation and customization goes, from unique physical options to voice modification. This is going to be fun. We've interviewed our associate art director, our 3D technical artist, and sound designer to get you all the details. So we have Lucas. He is the associate art director on Dark Tide and has been involved in overseeing the art delivered in the production of the Skitarii class, working closely together with the different disciplines of our production development team. We also have Eric, who is the senior technical artist at Fatshark. He's been at the company for 10 years, mainly working on Vermintide and Vermintide 2, and has also been leading the work on the Skitarii on the technical art side. These are the people who are responsible for bringing our beloved characters to life in all our Tide games. And finally, we have Ola, the VO designer at Dark Tide. Okay, so she has a very fun job already just from this. She's in charge of wrangling all the VO they record and processing it and getting it to play in the game. Sometimes she shows up to bother Matt and the actors with strange requests in our recording sessions. This is where we get all our very funny audio recordings from. So thanks Ola for that. Now, let's move on to the details of customization. Not quite human anymore. When we started talking and discussing about how we'd go about presenting this class, a lot of our ideas were naturally to the character creation of it. While the RBTs and Hivescum fit quite comfortably using the base human body as the core classes, the same isn't true for the Skitarii. Due to their cybernetic nature, there were a lot of visual aspects we wanted to represent that warranted a brand new body type to go with it. So this is I think there was a data mine some time ago where a new character skeleton was found. So initially I thought this had to do with the fact that the Skitarii had those mechanical arms, or not Skitarii, the Adeptus Mechanicus had those mechanical arms that needed to be animated. But so far, I don't think we've seen any indication that those arms will be present. Because as I understand it from asking around, those normally belong on like tech priests like Hadron rather than on your frontline warrior units. So, but anyway, that's where the skeleton that was data mined was going into because they were actively creating a new body type. This gave them an opportunity to show something rarely seen in other Warhammer 40k media, which is how they look under the robes and the hood, something that the entire art team was eager to work on. This is true. Usually if you see an augmented humanoid character, it's more or less a servitor, like the lobotomized one that we have selling cosmetics that no one really buys. Yeah, so that's the only time we see some mechanical parts integrated with human parts. There wasn't really an established visual reference for what the Skitarii looks like underneath the robes and armor, so that was a mystery which we needed to solve. The idea of them being flesh fused with machine raised a lot of questions, and because this was such an interesting hook for us to think about it, it naturally evolved into a focus for the class. Because this is rarely depicted, we found the most relevant information and inspiration in the written narrative mediums, books, lore excerpts, and codices, and so on. While we always collaborate closely with Games Workshop when bringing all aspects of Warhammer 40k to life in Dark Tide, this was especially true when working on the Skitarii class creation. I don't think we left any ideas out of it, it was more the other way around, that we added ideas as we went. Lucas. We worked extensively on the concepts and design, shaping together the look of these seldom explored facets of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Things like how their bodies look after such extensive modification, the types of scarring left on their flesh after all the assignments and environmental hazards they've often been subjected to. How exactly it looks where machine meets flesh. So here we have a pretty gnarly look at what our character is going to look like. My god, this looks so hideous, but it's also, on par for the 40k universe. This one looks kind of cool actually. Has a bit of a Terminator vibe going on with the partial maw and cybernetic eye. All very interesting to explore. Also conveniently, all of them have got their genitals removed, so guess they didn't need that in the 40k. Now, let's move on to customizing your Skitarius. As you might expect, many of the customization options available to the Skitarii are very different from the other classes, in part because of the fusion of man and machine, but also because they'll almost be completely covered up once you're done. We had to figure out how to let you add your personal touch in ways that would still be visible under those bulky robes. You know, this is still kind of an issue if you think about it, because we have customizable tattoos, which then get unfortunately covered up by the equipment and cosmetics that we're wearing. Of course, the Hive Scum is an exception to this, but for the rest of the classes, most of the time your tattoos are like barely visible, especially if you have them on the chest or your back, because most of the cosmetics cover your chest and back. So that aspect of personalization for the rest of the class probably could be better. I think maybe I don't think it's worth the effort to go and rework that, but it would have been nice if there are other ways to showcase your customization and personalization on the other classes as well. Anyway, moving on. Like our other classes, you get to pick from several background options to shape your character's history, and you get to tweak their height, although they are on average taller than the regular human classes. Additionally, you'll also be able to pick your Skitarius' Forge World of Origin, which plays a similar role as the Hive Scum's choice of gang, such as altering your starting cosmetics. One of those Forge World options, Branks Minor, is linked to Atoma itself. And here, once again, we see the different colors that we get to pick with the creation of our Skitarii. Now, I know this is the standard base look for the Adeptus Mechanicus, but I am really drawn to this blue and silver one. This one looks really nice, and I'm 99% sure I'm going to be picking the planet that gives me this particular color. Which color is your favorite? Somehow I feel like the orange one is going to be underrepresented in the game, because either people are going to be going with on theme or just this, what I think is cooler looking than the usual. Next up, we have eye color. Their natural eyes have long been replaced with bionic upgrades, giving you several color options to choose from. There will be a primary and secondary lens color option. Ooh, does this let us customize the color? Or do they mean primary and secondary as in like one lens each? No, it can't work that way, right? Does it make sense to have like one blue and one yellow lens? This has to be the different shades you can add into the lens color. So I assume that's the case. And of course, you can pick the same option for both to have the lenses look the same. Okay, not only that, but these colors will show up no matter what headgear cosmetic you end up using for your Skitarius. So this is one way that we are going to be able to stand out with our personalization if and when we use different cosmetic gear. So right now, the consequence of using glowing eyes for the Psyker is rendered pointless, because if you wear a helmet that covers your eyes, you can't really tell that you have glowing eyes anyway. And that is a bit different depending on the headgear. Some only have two eyes, so you are basically picking the right and left eye. Some have smaller diodes and things as well. Some only have one, and so there's primary that's showing. So then there's only the primary that's showing. Okay. This is kind of like Warframe, I think, because Warframe has different energy colors you can put depending on what you're showing. One is like the main energy, and then others are like the little glowing bits and pieces or accent colors. This is nice. Just customization alone can give everyone a lot of different personalization options. The only question I have is, do we have a hex color palette, the one where you move the arrow around to find out a very specific color or key in a hex code to get it? Or is it going to be like what we have now, where it's just pick from a set of 8 different colors and then be happy with that? Either way, having customizable eye colors with primary and secondary is nice. Next up, we have mechanical limbs. The Skitari's arms, legs, hands, and feet have been upgraded with cybernetic replacements, and during character creation, these will also be customizable. You will be able to choose different models for the arms and legs, and you will also get to pick from different metallic textures as primaries and secondary metals, including a separate setting to handle the oxidation level. This is really nice. This means you can create a battle-hardened, weather-beaten Skitarii that has seen a lot of years of combat. So for those of you who want to make a Skitarii that has seen a lot of shit, well, these are the customization settings that you might want to look into. These customizations will also remain and be visible no matter what cosmetics you are using, giving you more freedom to craft unique looks. And of course, the arms and hands will also show up in first person. Very nice. It's always nice to see your own customization and cosmetics while you're playing in first person. I think that's one of the main benefits of Having the ability to inspect your weapons, because then you can see it. I know everyone like to inspect their weapons in like Vermintide too, because it was glowing and everyone like to see their own stuff. So it's good that we'll see our own personalization appear in our games. Next, we have voice modulation. Oh, okay, this is going to be my favorite part. The Skitarii class will have access to 4 distinct personalities, something only the Ogrin class can match. But taking advantage of the Skitarii's cybernetic nature, we added the ability to customize how the voice itself can sound. The voice modulation system found in certain headgear cosmetics gave us a solid starting point for the feature, but we pushed the concept further, giving the players different ways to tune it to their heart's content and find the perfect sound. There are 3 different settings that you can gradually tweak to modify the base voice of the chosen personality. As you play around with these dynamic parameters, you will get to listen to the changes in real time through the example voice lines playing from your chosen personality, or even switch personalities to hear how specific setup sounds with all the voices. As you might expect, one of these parameters controls the pitch among other things. Okay, so this is where the devs had fun doing the voice here. So for those of you who don't know, pitch controls how deep or how high something sounds. So on one hand, you can then probably tweak your Skitarii to sound like Faustinius from Mechanicus. You know where the line comes from.
From the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me.
Or, presumably, you can tweak the pitch up so you sound like a squeaky toy, like a Pikachu in a Skitarii body. It's going to be so funny to hear the different Skitarii of different pitches talking to each other. It's almost like a meme. But we'll see. We'll see to what extent we can control the pitch. But this sounds really fun to do. While there is some correlation with the increasing this slider to make the pitch higher or decreasing it to make the pitch lower, it is not so straightforward. There are various effects being influenced by this parameter, purposefully making the pitch shift unpredictably in certain ranges and sometimes making the normal unmodified voice shine through. Okay, so there's going to be more depth to messing around with the pitch rather than just a binary slider of going up and down and seeing how deep or how high you can get the voice. The second parameter is the delay effect, which can sound like multiple voices at once, or like the voice has an almost immediate echo. Like with the pitch parameter, modifying this parameter is not as straightforward as it might seem, affecting not just the intensity of the effect, but also other sound effects linked to create some unpredictable variations. Alright, the delay effect. So this gives you almost that multiple personalities speaking at the same time. I've been trying to mess around with like a Mechanicus voice when I'm doing my editing, and the delay effect is one of the ways to achieve like how Faustinius sounds. That's one of the components of that goes into making his voice. You will hear stuff change as you move this around, but our goal is also to, we want you to stumble into something that sounds cool rather than necessarily be like, oh, this goes up and this goes there. We modulate it along the way so that different aspects of each effect comes in and out to get as much variance as possible. Okay, it sounds like you are probably going to spend a good 5-10 minutes maybe trying to tweak around with just the voice modulation. And that to me is peak character creation, where you spend more time in character creation than you do actually playing in the game. Where am I now? Lastly, the final parameter modifies the distortion on the voice, with various different crunching effects modifying and distorting the sound. Once again, we wanted to make players experiment. So as you move the slider along, you'll notice that certain aspects of the distortion lower intensity while others pick up, varying independently to create unique sounds as you explore the possibilities. There is always a built-in effect on the voices, so they will never sound fully human. Even if you skip through the character creation and don't mess with any of the dynamic settings, the character will still sound like a Skitarius. Okay. So, 3 parameters. Each parameter is kind of like, those games where you press one button and like different things pop up, and if you press another button, a different bunch of things pop up. So this is how they're doing the customization to give us a lot more variance rather than a binary, move the slider to A, followed by slider to B, and then C, and then you will get the same voice. Instead, then you would tweak the exact parameters of those things. By the sound of it, they want it to be that such that different elements also move alongside each of the different parameters. And I guess in a way, this allows for more interesting exploration. But from a customization point of view, especially if you're someone who is really particular about wanting to get a particular certain voice, then this maybe might be going against that, since you can't control precisely the pitch to this effect. You can't control exactly how much delay you want or the distortions of the voice. But we'll see. Right now, I am excited just for the voice modulation. I want to play around and sound like Faustinius. That's exactly what I'm going to do the moment I get my hands on the Skitarius. Now, let's go. Let's ending. Oh, I think we're ending already. Yep. Bonus. What was your favorite part about working on the Skitari? I do think that going deeper into what the character creation of the Skitari looked like and exploring the characters under the suit was especially interesting to me. Yeah, and I totally get that. We don't usually see what's underneath the cloth of the Mechanicus. I think it's interesting to work on something this mechanical. It's a different process, in some ways more complex because you have to make things mechanically work. And finally, for Ola, I think the class itself is really cool. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do in regards to voice for the class, but this, the voice modulation, is definitely for me the standout fun feature. Oh, I would agree. It's been super fun tweaking these effects and having these moments where you go, oh, this sounds really cool. This sounds really cool. Let's try that. Oh, that sounds really cool. Yeah, I fully expect all of us who are playing the Skitarii to have this exact reaction as well. So, that's all we have for today. We hope you enjoyed this early look at the character creation for the Skitarii class. Stay tuned for the next feature highlight, which will focus on the Skitarii's game design and talents. Oh, talents! Oh, yes, you bet I'm going to be covering that. Praise the Omnissiah. The Skitarii Alpha Primus class will be available on the 23rd of June, but you can already wishlist now. Here you are. So, overall, this was a very enlightening dev blog. I think the fact that we have 3 different layers of customization, we have the lens color, we have the limbs and the oxidization and the type of hands and legs we are getting, and we have the voice. All of this is going to be able to be seen through different cosmetics, which means everyone's Skitarius should feel or at least look distinctively different from everyone else. The only question I have, which I'm sure most of us are probably also thinking about, are we going to get more cosmetics than the Hives come and the RBTs? But yeah, overall, this is really good. I am looking forward to playing the class, exploring the class, and creating the class at this point. So, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think about this character class customization and which color are you going to be choosing when your Skitarius comes out. See you in the next one. Varlets.